To be honest, I don't know how this video is going to sound or how structured it's going to be, but I need a whinge. So on Sunday, I went to my first NRL game of the season, which was the Newcastle Knights, which is the team I support, as they took on the South Sydney Rabbitohs. And obviously, for people who've already seen the match, you already know what I'm going to be talking about. The game ended 42 points to 38. A thrilling, high-scoring encounter. Basically, the epitome of Landy's ball, where there was basically absolute no defense, and pretty much the game just kept flip-flopping in between scorelines. The Knights had a dominant first half, and then the South Sydney Rabbitohs came back in the second half. They scored a try and converted to take the lead. Then the Knights scored, and it was just, oh, we don't know what's going to happen. And the Knights came out as victors. Despite what people think, I didn't like this type of rugby league. And I haven't liked a considerate amount of matches that have happened so far in the NRL, because it just seems that we've evolved too close to the sun. Now, I understand this is probably going to be the thing about how I do prefer a rugby league game where there's good offense and good defense. Now, I understand that some people are going on about some of the complaints that people have had, said, oh, so you want a game that's like 8-6, which I can kind of understand. If you like high-scoring matches, that's fair enough. However, I do also feel of that you could have someone just standing here jiggling keys for about 80 minutes and you'd also be just as entertained. It's just a whole cacophony of six agains, just random penalties, inconsistent refereeing, and basically, I think more so, it's actually just about how referees now control the momentum of matches, not the players. Like, obviously, the main meme that came out of the game on Sunday would have been the reduce your force scene, where Kalen Ponga was penalised with about 30 seconds to go for using too much force in a tackle. Bearing in mind, wasn't head high, wasn't a shoulder charge, it was just him running at speed, making a normal tackle. But that was a penalty. Then you also had the complete and utter fuck knuckles of the first try South Sydney score, where it looked like a South player had the ball, then Cody Walker gets the ball, takes in front of him, and then goes on and scores a try, which for some reason apparently isn't offside, isn't like I feel like there should be multiple things that was wrong with that try, but no. That's just a fair enough try and allowed South Sydney to get some momentum and come back into the game. And then we look earlier on in the week and we had the example of the Roosters and the Broncos, where Victor Radley was put on the report 3 times. Wasn't put in the bin. Not only that, he hasn't been charged with anything. Like, I remember a time when being put on report was genuinely your last chance before, if you did something again, you would be put in the bin. In genuine seriousness, what does a report... Report means nothing. Reports genuinely mean nothing in this. And the bunker genuinely just doesn't help things. And I feel like it's a very big thing in terms of that, in terms of the discussion of the whole thing, is straight up, why can they not call forward passes? So you're telling me the bunker can make a ruling on if a player is offside from a kick. They can tell if a ball has been batted forward, forcing into a knock-on, and also when a player has lost the ball into another player, but they can't tell the ball if the ball's gone forward if it's being passed. Like, are we serious? Like, I understand the NRL changes their rules every 20 seconds, basically, but you'd think that this would be the one they would look at because this is the one that everyone's been calling for, but for some reason, no. But it's basically now just eventually evolved to the point where in a way to make the referees in the NRL consistent, they've made them as inconsistent as humanly possible and basically have a bullshit decision in every single game. And now going back into the set restart discussion point, I did research. I did mathematical research after the second round. So here is a stat in terms of how prevalent set restarts have become. In 2024, there were 79 set restarts in the first 2 rounds, with an average of about 5 per game. In 2025, it was at 87, with an average of 5.43 per game. In the first 2 rounds of the 2026 season, there was 165, an average of 10 per game. So basically, it has immediately doubled just from last season. And you'd think that, oh, this would have effect on penalties and errors. No, they pretty much stayed the exact same. If anything, I'm pretty certain they were less, but very minimal. This is like evolving at an absolute terrible rate. We all know that evolution happens, and I understand that the game is different from points where it was like 5-10 years ago. It's a different game. The problem is, this has evolved from like a couple of months ago, like from last year. There's like, you know, natural evolution, you know, with like the finches at the Galapagos Islands type thing. Like, I think everyone kind of knows about that vaguely, about how they notice it through the years, they make changes and whatnot, which is what Charles Darwin used for his theory of evolution. The problem is, though, is instead of that happening with the NRL, it's kind of more like Dr. Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster, where it's like, you know what, we're the gods, we're just going to create something. And now we've got this horrid fucking beast of a sport, which is just terrorizing people. It's generally gotten to the point, especially in like the last sort of year or so, where I've started enjoying more watching like the Super League in England and like local rugby league, because I think it's more acute to my style of what I like in my rugby league. And don't get me wrong, there has been good solid matches this season, but it's getting to a point where we're just going to keep having these absolute blown up scores, and that I can already tell this year the most points in a losing side in a match, that's going to get broken this year. But I'm going to make a call right here. By the end of next year, a team scoring 50 points in a game will not be safe. I genuinely think there's going to be a team that scores 50 points and probably loses that game, because that's where we're kind of currently at, and it's going to evolve even worse. Or because we're at the point where the sport is controlled by one man who keeps getting fantasized about code wars that realistically no one should be giving a shit about, and trying to make the sport a global thing whilst pissing off everyone who actually supports it in the first place.